What's good, people? RXL, big time fragrance influencer, back with another video. If you say anything other than I'm a big time fragrance influencer, you're just a jealous hater. So I have a fragrance here, and I've been trying to keep it positive around here. Trust me, several videos have made the cutting room floor in an attempt to just keep it positive and keep it all fragrance here. And with that, this fragrance that I have, I've tested it even more extensively than I usually do a fragrance, and that's because it's a shilled fragrance. It's a cheap clone fragrance, and in my first few wearings, wasn't very good. This video was going to end up just being a video of me trashing this fragrance, which is Game of Spades Emerald. And so I really made attempts to like this fragrance, do my best to give you both pros and cons and give you a kind of a balanced video. So this will be my attempt in doing so. So here we go. This is the bottle. I actually do like the bottle. I think the feel of the bottle feels really good. It looks absolutely hideous, of course, the cap. But it does have a very nice atomizer. I will give them that. The bottle and the atomizer are solid. Packaging in the box that it came in, it's a different story. You might recognize this, you people with children. You may have something like this taped or held up by a magnet on your refrigerator that maybe little Timmy made in his art class, and you know, even though you know it's hideous, but you're a good parent and you post it up as if you're proud of it. Look, does you recognize this? This is the box that it comes in. I guess this is some kind of poker or Las Vegas themed game of spades. So the packaging and presentation are obviously hideous, but you're going to get a lot of people that say that doesn't matter. First of all, let me do you, my audience. I don't care about any other looky-loos or people that just wander in here. You, my loyal audience, let me do you guys a favor. If you have any interest in this fragrance, forget anything these shills have told you. Forget especially that this is an amazing clone of Louis Vuitton Symphony, because it is not. Louis Vuitton Symphony is a fragrance that I smelled and I said, remember, I'm talking about the original Louis Vuitton Symphony. I smelled it and I said, oh, that's pretty good, but I wouldn't buy it for $300-400. Well, just maybe I'm interested in it later. Let me see how much it costs. And it was somewhere in the $500 to $600 range. I said, yeah, I think I'll just get the clone of it. And I just never bought the clone. That's how uninteresting that fragrance was to me. And so years have passed and I hear of this brand called Game of Spades. It's supposed to be an amazing clone house according to a bunch of shills. So I'm looking at what they offer. I don't really want an imagination clone because I already own that. I don't want a lot of other things they're cloning because I already own them. But I never did get that bottle of Symphony, and I know what it smells like, and this would be a great opportunity for me to try the house. Ignore the fact that they're pretending that this is some amazing Louis Vuitton Symphony clone, because it's not. The appeal of Louis Vuitton fragrances, and you will have outliers like Ombre Nomad and Nouveau Monde and some of the women's offerings. But the main appeal of a Louis Vuitton fragrance is, yes, you are in some way buying the name because that name comes with an expectation of a certain quality. You might think it's up here. You might think it's just, okay. But you will never be surprised at the quality of a Louis Vuitton fragrance because it's always the same. They have an in-house perfumer. It's the same perfumer usually most of the times. So they're simple compositions. You're not going to be wowed by artistry, but you are going to be impressed by the quality and the blending. And so now Game of Spades is cloning a simple fragrance, but without that quality and blending. So it's just very off-putting, very unsettling that this community of shills is like trying to push this as some sort of amazing clone, which it isn't. And so now with this warning out of the way, and now you have the ability to treat this as its own fragrance, is it worth, I believe they retail for $200. No, absolutely not. That's a ridiculous asking price. Is it worth the $90 that I paid for? That's debatable. If I had to price this fragrance, I'd put it at about $60. Does it smell good? Yeah, it actually does. It actually does smell good. What this fragrance is pretty much a bergamot, a grapefruit, some ginger, some neroli. Yep, that's it. And the differences are, when you smell Symphony, wow, that's a really good grapefruit. It's not the best grapefruit. Just think Bulgari Tiger level grapefruit. It's a good designer grapefruit. This is just your standard rack store grapefruit. Same thing with the bergamot. Same thing with the neroli. And these are not unlikable accords or scents. I think even like a rack store fragrance or even a cheap like Mason, Alhambra, or Lattafa can make this and it'll smell good. But don't fool yourselves into thinking like you're going to get the same thing you get from $500-$600 Louis Vuitton Symphony, because you're not. You're an idiot if you believe that. So how does this rate against a designer or a rack store fragrance? I think if you can get this from a Joma shop or you can get this from a discounter for somewhere in the $60 to $90 range, it's a good fragrance because it's a very fresh fragrance. You get a lot of decent citrus at the top. Depending on the climate you're in, this can go from either a top-heavy citrus fragrance to a very nice, clean, soapy fragrance from the neroli. It's also a very strong fragrance. It does well projecting in the first couple hours. It will give you about 8 hours plus of longevity. No, this isn't the quality of Louis Vuitton, but it's also not terrible. It wasn't until I tried it in over 100-degree temperatures yesterday that the florals came out more and balanced out that kind of overpowered citrus. That's when I got the full picture of what this fragrance is, and I can, now finally make a video about it. Yeah, it's an okay fragrance. And if you type it in and see some videos with, a YouTuber or influencer saying, yeah, it costs this much, and yeah, it's decent, then fine. But these guys telling you that, this smells, this is the crazy thing I'm seeing now. Not only were they already lying about how the clone smells exactly the same, now the lie is it smells even better than the original. I've seen list videos. These all smell better than the original. 10 fragrances that smell better than the original. 10? You found 10 fragrances that smell better than the original? Because let me tell you something. I have hundreds of clones, and I've smelled maybe 1,000 by now. You know how many fragrances that either are better in quality than the original, or I prefer, or smell better, whatever you want to call it? You know how many I've come across? Like maybe 2. It's a decent fragrance if you can pick it up cheap enough. If you live in the climate that this fragrance would shine in. I'm going to give Joe Milano Game of Spades Emerald a 6 out of 10, which is a decent score. Fragrances that are 6 and 5s, if they're priced low enough, have a place in my collection. But it's just not Louis Vuitton. But that's all I got to say about Joe Malone's Game of Spades Emerald.